At some point, for you to start recovery, you need to go to rehab because you need to be denied access. You cannot do it without. You cannot have there's a point you reach where you cannot have a conviction at, now I'm just here like, today, because there's a liquor store not far from here, and you will succumb.
We're just talking offline and we're saying, hey, this city is heavy. Part of the reason why we have to go on breaks is one, rehydrate, but also just absorb the heaviness of the conversation. It's a story of ups and downs, victory and losses. Just when we think overcoming, this guy is back. You keep hitting us with the same thing, I'm back. When we're believing in you, you're like, yeah, the story has a silver lining, back. But also, let me say, this story is necessary. And I can now understand why maybe some people don't share this thing. Because they may be sharing at the point where they are one year or 3 months clean. A few months later, they're back in it.
It takes some experience, even trying and failing, to reach a point where if I was 1 year, I'd not have dared come here. Because I know you need to have some solid ground first, even in your own recovery, for you to even dare share that recovery, lest you lose it immediately. Yeah, that's a very big problem in recovery circles. You come out, guys wanna, things were bad, I'm 3 months, life is good. So what gets guys in recovery is once that pink cloud of your normal life has now some semblance of order, you get over that. Now it's not just turmoil, now life on life terms. Are you ready for life on life terms? Are you ready to pick up where you had dropped the ball somewhere? If it's either work, school, hustle, to start again. That starting again, now the real essence. Wacha umetoka rehab, umetoka whatever, and guys are supporting. You know, they say also funerals after, once you've buried and guys go, now you start feeling. So once you've gotten over that pink cloud of up and up, support, now do life. Sasa, life. Now that's what gets guys.
Because it's life that triggers these relapses.
Yes.
For example, and it's good and bad, because I'm hearing for you, success triggered this relapse.
Something I wanted for so long, actualizing it. Yeah.
Yani, you got it today, by night you were in prison. That is crazy. Okay, so you tell your parents, and your parents put you back in rehab.
So we're at a halfway house. I was talking about the halfway.
Okay, so that's where we are.
In the Kiambu place, remember I told you about a guy who's deceased, was an ex-pilot turned heroin addict. He was one of the counselors there. God rest his soul, there was a guy called Simon Pitkin. He became my counselor, so we'd meet periodically. So after the industrial area stint, I started having sessions with him, and because I had relapsed at some point, like I told him, you guy can't go back to rehab. You guy 3 months up, and you guy can't do that. He's like, okay, how about we try? There's this place called there's a halfway house in Parklands. Again, I won't say the name. Why not try that? So I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, there, same program as rehab, but you have some freedom. You can go to school, you can go to work, you can hustle, you can do what you need to do, right? So me, that sounded like a wonderful idea, as opposed to going to rehab again, bana. Because rehab, man, it takes a toll on your psyche. The 3 months of just, so I was tired at that point. So I go.
And these conversations in conjunction with your parents?
Of course. Of course, yeah. So even them, it sounds like a good idea. On paper, it sounds like a remarkable idea, like recovery, but you're staying there, it's recovery. So you're safeguarded, you're not just in the world. Because also, being lonely is hungry, happy, lonely, tired. Those are some very big triggers. If you're too happy, it can be a trigger because you want to reward yourself. If you're too sad, if you're lonely. So lonely, that's another dangerous one. So the halfway house made sense.
And you are lonely at this time. Your person has gone.
Nimeachwa bana. So I go to the halfway house, and first of all, it's such a raw deal from whatever you pay versus the services, man. Food is short. You can just tell this money is not being used for what it's meant to be used for. And there are guys who've been there for so long. Maybe their parents are just like, you just stay there. As you're doing your uni, you stay there. We don't want to hear mambo ya hostel. We don't want to hear mambo you're coming home. There's that kind of guy. Then there's parents who are just being manipulated. So the price was not the same for everyone. It's what you look like, what you seem you can pay. So there was this guy from Coast, one of these port families, who was paying to 50 Gs a month, which is so outlandish.
What?
Yeah, so outlandish for the services. The services are, but also an addict. You've been through so much. Bare minimum seems okay. A bed, a weird looking room, and 3 somewhat meals, or rather 2, because the expectation was that you go hustle. Is okay. Yeah. So when you go there, you quickly learn there are guys who are there just to use. And by use, I'm talking about to continue their lifestyle of turn up and drugs. And in some cases, you'll find because they're paying so well, management turns a blind eye. So if you're there with good intentions of recovery, it's a setup, man. You're trying to stay as far away from it. You're here to recover, yet it's everywhere around you.
Oh, guys are coming in with that stuff.
Guys are turning up. Management knows. Every so often they'll throw a tantrum, but they know very well who they can't kick out because this guy's dad pays this much.
Yeah.
So you're set up for failure. And then the moment you relapse, if they have a rapport, if like they've met your loved ones and they've spoken to your loved ones, what do? They recommend their rehab. So it's like a system where you're just ping-ponging back and forth.
And from the rehab, they say, let's send them back to the halfway house. Because you can't just come directly.
Yeah, and on paper, that makes sense. It makes so much sense on paper. Yeah. So...
did you turn up in rehab?
After trying not to. Like at some point, I remember even going, I won't say his name, but I remember I kept trying to help this guy not drink, but he kept drinking every day. Like I was trying to help. This time I was working as a clerk for my mzee at his farm. Clerk, I'm being sent around to deliver mail, serve papers, because an advocate, serve papers, errand boy. But I'm being paid something to survive, as in I can have like airtime. I can have, I'm not indecent as a human being. If I save enough, I can buy a kashati, can buy socks, boxers, toiletries. So still the goodwill of my paps, because he's still paying for halfway. But I'm really trying to be sober. But when as an addict, the reason why I can't even go somewhere where there's booze, just seeing guys standing up does something to you. You see a guy changing state, getting tipsy, and there's like a
jealousy.
So for me, I stay away. Like I cannot. So little did I know, helping that guy every day. At some point, it was a trigger. It had already planted something in me. And I remember very well. What was he drinking? Blue Ice, some very cheap vodka. But I just remember how that was implanted in my psyche. And at some point, I relapsed. As I was working for my mzee as a clerk, I was also doing that multi thing I told you about.
For the planes.
Yeah, so it's a short course. I did 3/4 of it, actually, while working for my mzee as a clerk. And, after that, it's Jobo. Yeah, so I was this close yet this far. So at some point, obviously, booze catches up. So many other things happen at the halfway, man. Like, the halfway was a trap house. And I probably still is. There's so many guys who fallen victim there to so many wrong things.
So you as a parent, you think you're taking your child to the right place, but you're taking them to even a worse environment than they already are in.
Way worse. Maybe even now you'll be exposed to more things that you didn't even know. But again, that desperation that loved ones go through, at some point they want anything. They just want to hear that it will work, and they'll try. Again, to your listeners, I was just saying, be careful when you're offering help, when you're seeking rehab, do some due diligence. The same way you'd not just take your child to any school or your loved one to any school, you'd hope that someone does some due diligence before you take someone for something as serious. Even a hospital. You don't just take someone to Hosi because it's a Hosi. You try and find out where can they get the best care. So I end up going to another rehab.
Is this now your third rehab?
Yes. If you count halfway, so
Fourth.
4. but it's the same
guys.
company.
Yeah.
Kabete this time. Now this is mid-tier. I've chapered low, I've chapered high. This is mid-tier. Yeah. And for the most part, rehabs are just houses that have been converted. So the business model is get a decentish house, stack it with beds, and have somewhat of a program running, and ask for minimum 100K from everyone.
Wow.
Yeah. And try offer some help. That's the model. Now, help is not, for what I've come to learn over the years, help is not, it's not the place. It's the point you've reached. Yeah. It's the point you've reached. So, if you've reached a certain point, any rehab will work.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. But here's the kicker. At some point, for you to start recovery, you need to go to rehab because you need to be denied access. You cannot do it without. You cannot have there's a point you reach where you cannot have a conviction at, I'm just here like, today, because there's a liquor store not far from here, and you will succumb. So at some point, denied access is a must. But if you've reached a certain point where you're denied that access from, if it's a rehab or a cell or whatever, if someone can maroon you in a house and justify it, and you've reached that point, anywhere will work.
Okay.
But you have to have reached that point.
So at this time, had you reached that point? This
Almost.
is your fourth time.
Yes, almost.
What are you feeling now when you're in there?
You see, by the second, third, fourth, I had reached that point of I don't want to drink anymore, but I don't have all the tools.
Oh,
I'm not yet equipped to actually stay the course. So every time I'm trying, at some point I fall short.
I get it.
So it's not that I would chuck and just drink and I would try. And that's why I keep talking about willpower and goodwill. I even did AA for a while. Like I said, AA I did on and off for maybe 10 years. Yeah.
What?
You'd be surprised, of course it's anonymous, but you'd be surprised who's in AA in this country of ours. You'd be so surprised. People you know.
I love what you're saying. You're like, it's not that you're being rebellious here.
Yeah, I was...
At that time, with the information that you have from when you've left rehab, you put your all in it.
Yes. And that's very different. Remember when I told you about there's different kinds of people in rehab?
Yeah.
And for like my mzee, that's where the grace also came from. He could see this guy is genuinely trying. Like, you're clerking for a long time, and you're not drinking until at some point you succumb. It's not just sikuwa na ubaya.
Yes.
Yeah. Sikuwa na ubaya. And
there's a different force in you that is fighting against you.
Yeah. And then now, with every subsequent time, you can either get weaker or stronger. Because you're getting tired, man.
Why aren't you getting weaker?
You're getting tired. Because I was closer to my dream, I had learned new lessons that I would try and now use this other time.
Oh, so you were getting stronger?
Yes. Because my dream was, the flying thing is, we're almost. We're almost there.
You had a goal.
And every time I'd go back to any form of rehab setting, AA setting, you'll meet guys who either the guys who maybe you met the first time they were in first year. This time the guy is also telling you he's about to finish engineering. You're like, nice. Or someone was in first year, first sem, they're still in first year, first sem, 6 years later, or 5 years later. Or a guy has never done it. You're meeting, so there's guys who genuinely try. They're fighting the fight. There are guys who are just, they've kubalied, this is what they are. So they'll just keep going.
They've given up.
They'll just keep going with the ebbs and flows. I drink, disturb my famo, I'm taken to rehab. I come out, I drink immediately, disturb my famo. Like that. And that's why you end up hearing a guy has been put for a year. Yeah, and it's kubalit because even him, he knows, nimechoma. Like, so on my part, after the first time, because the first time I didn't really understand much, I was too young. Every subsequent time, I was trying my best, and my best initially was never good enough. And from the outside looking in, anyone could say, you guy, come on, man. But like, I'll give credit to my old man, and probably in conjunction with my old lady, because they're married. Married people are a team. There's no way it was one without the other. They saw the effort. Yeah, and I'm lucky. I must say I'm one of the few lucky people who had that kind of grace, because There are
They
people,
didn't give up.
Yeah, there are people who don't even get a chance to go to rehab once. There's people who never get it. There's people who start drinking and die shortly after. There's people who injure themselves irreparably. We're talking about wheelchair. We're talking about people who get permanent brain damage. There's people who get drug-induced psychosis. Like, there's so many ways this thing could have played out, but I'm here. And it's just by the grace of God.
Wow.
Yeah. So I do that specific place.
3 months.
3 months again.
Ah, yeah. Dude, that's 9 months that you've spent.
I've spent birthdays, New Year's, at different times. I've spent 2 birthdays and I've spent New Year's. Yeah. It's one of the most sorry things. Because at New Year's, when guys are... and they try and make it a nice day for you guys so that you don't feel like you're missing out on the world and all of this. But, hey, those moments are painful, man. And at some point, you don't even... Like me, it was those other stints, I was not visited. I didn't expect to be visited. We're not there now. This is not the time for, hey, Parents' Day, it's your Family Day. Family Day is not for you.
So what did this 4th time do for you now?